Cigar lovers from around the world are alighting in Havana this week for the 19th Habano Cigar Festival. And celebrate they should, because Cuban cigar exporters sold $440 million of cigars in 2016, a 5% increase over 2015. Not only has the Castro government tapped into new markets such as the Middle East and Asia, but the U.S. has also removed its ban on cigars brought in from Cuba for personal consumption.
We are reasonably satisfied with the evolution of the business last year, since during that time the luxury goods sector grew at 0% at a constant exchange rate. We are quite happy we were able to grow during a year that was in truth quite challenging.
Cuba used to be the world's largest cigar exporter before a U.S. embargo in 1962 prevented the cigars from reaching U.S. soil. The U.S. cigar market was quickly overtaken by the Dominican Republic, which enjoys annual sales of around $620 million. The U.S. is the world's largest importer of cigars, with that market worth around $8 billion globally. And since the former U.S. government announced plans to normalize ties with Cuba, the Caribbean island is hoping its cigar industry will pick up once more.
It represents a further step towards the non-discrimination of Cuban cigars before cigars of other origins, and in this aspect we see it as very favorable. And also, of course, hopefully the American consumer, American visitors, will have the opportunity to familiarize themselves with our product and to take Cuban cigars to the United States in the same amounts that they can take cigars of other origins.
The thawing of U.S.-Cuban tensions helped boost tourism in Cuba by 13% last year, and that, in turn, directly impacted the rise in cigar sales in Cuba.
We believe it is a market that if tourism continues to grow, we will be able to achieve new milestones in the commercialization of cigars.
Although the Cuban cigar trade looks bright at the moment, the U.S. Congress still needs to completely lift the trade embargo. But all that could go up in smoke if President Donald Trump follows through on his promise to review and perhaps reinstate an embargo that President Obama removed as a relic of the Cold War. Craig Copetas, TRT World.
And the man is here with us in the studio himself, our editor-at-large. Craig, let's talk cigars then. They've been declining, they're now coming back up. And what are they going to take their spot back from the Dominican Republic, presumably?
Matthew?
Yes?
Sigmund Freud said, sometimes a cigar is just a cigar.
True.
He's wrong here. This story actually has nothing whatsoever to do with cigars. It is a story about how 2,000 American businessmen and European businessmen use this event every year to go into Havana and try and cut business deals with the Castro government.
Ah, okay.
This event
so it's a smokescreen.
It is a smokescreen. It is a pipeline into the Cuban government because Cuba's two of their biggest exports are cigars and rum. And that helps the economy. Now, the problem with Cuban cigars, which are excellent cigars, you have Robustos, your Panatellas, your Double Robusto, your Churchills, your Torpedoes, is Havana and Cuba no longer have the rollers. Because they need to be
we got some pictures right here.
Yeah, take a look at this. They need to be handmade. And sadly, this is an art form.
When you say they don't have the rollers, you mean the people who do it are declining?
Yes.
And why is that?
Well, because it's a craft like any other craft, and it's
labor intensive, but it doesn't pay well.
Labor intensive, doesn't pay well. You're sitting in a factory all day, and most of the best rollers have left the island. They've gone either to the Dominican Republic, they'll go to the United States, to luxury hotels.
So with the embargo being lifted, do you think they'll come back? They'll get the business going again?
I don't think so, because there's another problem with Cuban cigars, and that's the price. They're extremely expensive because there's not enough land to grow them on. The acreage has shrunk, and there are only right now, there are fewer than, I'm told, fewer than 40 factories in Cuba, and that's not enough for global demand. And the quality of the tobacco, in many instances, has declined because Cuba hasn't been able, among other things, to get the fertilizer required for the field. So if you're going to go out and it's not like, oh, I have a Havana cigar, you have to know what you're looking for, or you could pay $50 to $100 for a cigar that's going to explode in your face.
A la Castro
Yeah.
attempt. Craig Copetas, thank you very much. I look forward to you one day going to the island and taking a look at those for us.